Hey everyone, how's it going? Pitch here, and today we're going to do a really fun video. I'm going to draw some monsters, or a monster. Yeah, let's just go over it. So what I'm thinking is I want to do something that's very B-style today, like an actual, how would I put it? Like maybe something like a dog or an alligator, something with that kind of head. And so let's start with that, right? So the way I go about it normally is I give it a snout first, and then we'll give it a long just like head area. We'll say the eye will be right there. Let's say the other side goes up like this, so it's like a ridge almost. The other brow ridge is right there, and then it'll have some kind of jaw, right? There we go. There's the head of some sort of creature. We can do whatever we want with it. We can make the mouth long. I like nice long mouths personally, like very extended, exaggerated. Why not? It's your creature, right? You can make the jaw hinge wherever you want. Just get creative with it, get crazy with it. So, of course, we want to have some fangs, but first, before fangs, what do we need? Gums, right? So let's give this guy some lips. That's nice. And just let your ideas flow, right? You got to know basic anatomy of things for the most part. Like I know lips are right here. There's going to be a ridge where the skull and the teeth would meet, right? And then they're covered in gums. And so then let's give this guy some human teeth, actually. That's a little scary. Some people think sharp teeth are scary. I actually think that human teeth can be a lot scarier depending on the situation. So let's give this guy a mouthful of human teeth, right? So that's a good way to go about it. Think of things that are unsettling. Would you like to see a dog or an alligator or something with a mouthful of human teeth? I wouldn't. I think that would be awful. I would be freaked out. I would be disturbed. What if it was drooling a lot? When I was younger and I had various different, when I was younger, it was like DeviantArt and stuff like that. And I would look up artists. I saw this one artist and they had a picture of a crow person, like a person with a crow for a head. And this thing, I don't know what it was. It wasn't that spooky. It had very weird eyes. It had eyes like this, like eyes that were like almost comedic. It almost like predated the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, where it was just like, this is goofy, but it's actually really scary. I do think Five Nights at Freddy's can be kind of scary. I know that's a point of contention. I think it's a great piece of horror media. But beyond that, had eyes like that, and it was just so much drool coming out of its mouth. I thought it was just such an uncanny amount of like material. And then there was like a person's head underneath. It was like a girl or something, and she was like, "Oh no," one of those. But we're gonna tap into that today with this weird fella right here. And so we already have something coming along. Let's give him kind of like a big smile. Wow, that is awful. Let's just move on a little bit. Let's actually just flesh out the rest of the head because right now I'm focusing way too much on this one area. So we'll do that. Jaw goes back over there. We can even do some trickery and make this thing even more unsettling by having the mouth open even more. It does look kind of goofy at this very moment, but you know what? You can't let that stop you. Especially with creating monsters and stuff like that. Like the difference between something really scary and something not very scary at all is it could just be a few lines of the way you do something. So stick with your idea. Don't get discouraged if it's not looking scary, if it looks goofy. If I stopped whenever something of mine was looking goofy, I would be making no art. Let's see what else we could do to make this thing a little bit more terrifying. So let's give this a body. Do we want to give it a regular body? No, we can give it like some legs maybe. That'll be fun. But like, what if they were spider legs? That's kind of a fun idea. I hate this so far. I think this is a terrible piece. Let's try and rework it, right? Sometimes I get this way, and I just want to change things. So I like the head. I like the head. The head can stay. The eye, I don't know about. The mouth is looking correct, though. And so what do we do? What do we do to make this more frightening or more bizarre or strange? Do we give it a mane of fur? Yeah, that actually feels kind of correct. We can make it like, what this kind of looks like? That one SCP. The one that's like the creature that always regenerates. We're just gonna make that then, right? So here we go. So that's what it can be. So I'm gonna draw this SCP right now. That's what this has become. So it's got a big mouth. It always regenerates. It's always eating things. It kind of has. I think it actually does have like human-like teeth in that one picture I've seen of it though, and it seems to have a lot of fur and stuff like that. So we'll just make this thing huge. And don't they have to keep it in like a vat of acid or something? That'd be kind of a fun detail, right? We fill up the whole down area down here with like its own like flesh melting off and acid. That's kind of fun. But yeah, you gotta have fun with it. I think people get so into the idea of it being scary that they don't think, is this piece fun to make? And you gotta make your monsters little fun, a little scary. Get creative, you know? You never know what's going to work out. That's kind of nice. And let's erase this over here so the mouth is even bigger. And I should probably give it a few spiky teeth just to drive that home. Yeah, now it has more of that alligator type look to it. I'm not happy with the eye. As you can see, I keep erasing it. Let's try and get this head a little bit more fleshed out and defined. So that's that. That's that. I think it actually has like it's like its skull, right? So maybe we give it a little. Man, sometimes you just got to keep going. I like the eye up there the most. It feels the most unnatural and the most unsettling. So we'll put that there. I do want to create it so that there's like a nasal cavity here instead of a straight up snout. Something like that. I don't know if that's right, but we'll just keep going. We don't give up. That's the number one thing, is that you do not be discouraged. You just cannot be discouraged. You have to keep going until you make something. I don't personally leave my workstation until I have something created. Although this piece is challenging me right now, I will say I'm getting frustrated. I need to look up what an alligator skull looks like, actually. So I'm going to do that really quickly. Alligator skull. Okay. They have one big nostril on the top of their nose. I don't know if it's actually an alligator skull, but you know what? I've never seen an alligator skull before. I've never seen this strange hole they have on the top. And I kind of like it, so we're going to stick with that. I think they use an actual deer skull or something in the SCP thing, but I like how this is. This will give it my own touch, which is nice. You know, I think it's easy to get caught up in how someone else has designed something, right? And how they have done their work previously. But I'm going to try and make this my version of it. So we're going to give it, you know, this kind of arm right there, maybe. It's also about balancing the piece. Like I don't want this to be a weirdly composed piece, right? I want to make it so that, you know, anyone can design a monster and make it look cool, but it's cool to like get it to fit into the shape of a piece so it looks like a piece of art, not a piece of concept art. I think it's just two totally different things. You know what we can do too? We can have his head kind of like this. And we can have like this over here and then make the eye a little bit more, make him a little bigger. I don't know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle sometimes to get these pieces right. Sometimes I might need to just add a little black to fill everything in. I kind of like that though. That has a nice flow to it, and we can actually open this mouth some more. I do want to balance it out a little bit, so maybe we can just like, yeah, do this. That's kind of creepy. Yeah, that's actually really creepy. I'm going for creepy, like a tilted head, like something, it's almost looking over its own shoulder, right? Now we're getting somewhere. So you can go from hating something to loving something so quickly. And a concept can be saved. So it's important not to just completely give up on things, even if it looks like it's not going anywhere, right? Whoa, that's always brutal. So here, we're going to really quickly just outline this whole section with black, and we're going to see how that looks. That looks good to me. Let's go and put some red back here. I think generally with creating monsters, what you want to do is just think of some of the scariest things you've ever seen and then try and implement those things. And if you have trouble drawing something, then, you know, either don't draw it and learn how to draw it, or just in that moment, go and learn how to draw it. You know, there's no reason not to learn how to draw teeth right this very second, right? Or like examine a picture of teeth. Like, I think that a lot of people learn via, you know, their art teachers and stuff like that and like still lives, but you can do all your own research. And you can find so many good things on YouTube. Like you found my video and I'm showing you how I draw monsters, right? Like there's people who are extremely talented who are just available for you to utilize on these platforms. And I think you should. I think it's definitely worth your time. As you can see, I'm struggling over here. Let's see. There we go. So that's the head. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. And I'm going to actually add the blacken now. I'm going to do it underneath this other layer over here. And, you know, ultimately, I'm a design guy. You know, my whole thing is like actually designing pieces that look consistent and cohesive within the framework of my personal art style. So my approach is going to be a lot less technical than some of these other artists who are like, this is, you know, the exact, I don't know, the length of this thing's like elbow to its, you know, shoulder or something like that. Like, I don't care about that. I care about how it looks. I do think it is important on some level to have knowledge of where things belong. That's kind of nice, right? I think we're onto something here. But I don't think it's the most important thing in the world. I think that you should have knowledge of it because that is going to make your art look. I mean, if I had more of that kind of knowledge, then I think that my work would even look better. And so I think for me, someone like me, it's a slow road to learning, all these different things and all these different, just skills that you acquire over the course of your art career. And that's what it is. You can't think of it like, oh, this piece didn't come out well, whatever. Just go keep going. Just keep going, especially with monsters because they're so freeform. Like there's no set monster, right? Like what was Frankenstein? Frankenstein was just like a bunch of bodies just stitched together. That's a cool concept, and a million people have done it since, and that's that, right? So it doesn't have to be super complex or done a certain way. There is no right way to draw something. You just have to look at what looks right for you. Take the things that you're pulling from your monster design and saying like, "Wow, I really like how I did this weird eye right here or something." Like, take that into account. You are your own best asset when drawing stuff like this. So, also just think of things that scare you. Like, what scares you? Like, I don't like things with big mouths. One of my big fears, personally, is being eaten alive. I hate that. When I was watching Attack on Titan, I was like, oh my god, like I hate this. I hate this concept. I hate the idea of like a bunch of giant humans coming in and eating me. Like that's horrifying. That's horrible. Like what on earth? Like that's such a primal fear of just being eaten, swallowed whole. Uh, you know, Consumed by the whale in Pinocchio. Also hated that. Like, what else is creepy? I don't like people staring at me. I don't like making extended eye contact with somebody. And that's why I draw eyes the way I do. I think it's really important to just keep that in mind. Your own fears. I don't like big dark spaces. I think some of the best horror artists are just people who are probably afraid of something and know exactly how to channel what that fear is and what that thing is. Like I don't, I'm afraid of death. All these different things that I find fear in. I can express really well exactly what the thing is. The more you think about it and the more you approach that as like a constant part of your life, the more you're going to be able to recognize it in whatever it may be that you're working on. So there you go. We're getting somewhere with this guy, I think, at this point. It's kind of like it has like wolfish qualities, but it's certainly partially an alligator skull. I do want to add some more something to this. I can't put my finger on what it is yet. I feel like I want more of this material of like this goop coming out of its mouth and just kind of like spraying everywhere, like coming from the top of its mouth, like coming out of its teeth, coming out of its throat, like just like all these horrible strands of liquid. I was really inspired by talking about that one piece I saw when I probably must have been 10. I'm like 30 now. So that was, oh my God, 20 years ago, dude. Time flies, I'm telling you. So start learning art now. um, yeah, there we go. Look at it. I'm trying to add fur. I also don't have the attention span, maybe, of some art. I'm sure a lot of us don't because we've just been inundated with like YouTube and TikTok and like, a million different things that will distract you from whatever you're doing. But oh, that's nice. And sometimes you just gotta go. You gotta go from one idea to another. It is actually kind of a skill. If if we're all gonna be having some form of attention deficit problem, anyways, we might as well use it effectively and efficiently. Which I think drawing is a great thing for that. You don't have to focus on what I see people, and it's so impressive to me, that they can go and sit down and they can shade a whole area. They'll be drawing like these hyper realistic, like, cathedrals or whatever, and they just spend like an hour, on a 10-inch by 10-inch section of bricks that they like painstakingly, I don't know how to put it, they just painstakingly do. It's not me. I'm like, here, let's add more fur here. Let's add more little disgusting tidbits and like things over here, and oh, that doesn't look right, let's remove that, or like let's put this here and let's get these sketch lines out of here, let's keep those sketch lines there. Like it is just a constant flurry of thoughts, and when you're making a monster, that's really useful because monsters have all different types of appendages and weird little things you can add. Like, they don't have to look right. Like, monsters are so great from that standpoint, where if you're, why do you think kids love drawing monsters? Because they look cool. Even as a child, you can draw a monster. Like, we would draw like crazy dinosaur creatures and like things with sharp teeth and like with 10 arms, and it's like, it just gets cooler the more terrible things you add to it. And I don't know what artist it was, but I think it was some like that Picasso or something. Like, not to quote him, he's like a, whatever. But he said you should maintain like your childlike innocence when thinking about art, and I do agree with that. I think that is like a sincere and awesome way to approach art, is just to be like a kid. Because if you listen to a kid making art, or like drawing a monster or drawing like a creature or whatever, they're not like thinking about like, well, I can't draw that. They don't care, man. They're drawing it. It looks like, it may not look like it, but they're doing it, and that is so much more than you can say for people who get discouraged very early on making their art. And they say, oh, I can't do it, I can't do whatever, like, I don't draw it the right way, oh, someone does it better than me. Like, that should not affect you. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you took the time to think of the idea and that you should do it. Like, even right here, look at, we'll have little, are its lips perfect? No, its lips have holes in them. It has like this little screwed up section of shadow over here. Like, does that look like anatomically correct? I don't know, man. I've never drawn something like this before. I don't think anyone's drawn something, exactly like this. And it's just, you're the boss. That's part of it, right? Like, you're the monster machine. You can make this however you want to make it. You can do whatever you want to do. And that's beautiful. I can't tell if there's a video on how to draw a monster right now, or if it's a video on like how to draw whatever you want. But we're just gonna keep going with it, because this monster is actually coming out pretty cool the more I'm talking about it. Yeah, I think we're actually getting there. We're almost there right now. This is kind of sick. I think this is the SCP. I don't remember its name. It's like I think if it's 647, I'll go crazy with it. 682. I was pretty close. I got the 600 right. That's nice. Yeah, so we're going to finish this up. Good rule of thumb for monster creation. I would say lots of teeth, more teeth than normal. Eyes should be screwed up like this. Give them lots of lines, give them lots of rings inside the eyes. They don't have to be like normal pupils. You can do whatever you want. It's a monster. Let's see. Skulls are great. You can do all kinds of things with skulls. They look just great. Just stick them on any old monster, and it'll look a lot better, in my opinion. I think fur and like lots of saliva and stuff like that, like some kind of feral animal, nice touch. I think it's a great way to express that something is definitely more of like a primal threat than it is like a creepy threat. But I do think just generally lots of drool, saliva, viscous material coming out the mouth of something is just always a nice touch. I think it's great. It's something that I personally love, and I think I always will. And of course, the colors you choose are going to make a big difference in whatever you're creating. So, just go with the flow. Don't get too stressed out about it. Make something scary. Channel your inner child when you're drawing something like this. And you'll have a much better time. Because at the end of the day, if you're not drawing a monster for fun, what are you drawing a monster for? You know what I mean? I guess it could also be for like a project or something realistic like that. But remember also like strange body shapes and limbs. Like this actually, despite looking like some kind of, I would say wolf creature, it does have like a snake-like body. And what we could do, because I don't want to mess this up, because I think that's actually kind of a good piece on its own. I could probably just stop it there. I'd add a little more detail, but we can really have fun with this, right? And so now we have this whole piece. Let's merge everything. So this is just one big piece. And we can really make this thing insane, right? We can actually change the scale of it. And scale is something to note too, because, it might be one of those things where monster isn't that scary when it's small, but when you turn it into a giant like kaiju worm, it might be a lot scarier, right? A little round like that. Don't love that though. We'll come back to the idea maybe one day. Make a big, long boy. But yeah, that's how I draw monsters. If you guys want any other tips on that, please shoot me a message or, a comment under this video. As always, thank you to Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Try and draw a monster. Try and draw something kind of fun. And don't let your creativity be stifled by your idea of what something should be. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Bye.